You know, I really don't understand why Mega Man 8 is often considered a middle-of-the-road or even low-tier Mega Man game. I actually don't get it, like, not even a little bit. This is a game that does more to push its series forward than anything since maybe even Mega Man 2 or 1, 4 at the very least. It's a real next-gen evolution in many ways. And yet, it seems anytime someone has something good to say about it, the comments immediately go, "But wait, did you know that the voice acting is bad? Did you know that jump jump slide slide?" Seriously, try to find one post about this game that doesn't mention at least one of those things. And unfortunately, thanks to mixed to negative reviews by critics and fans alike, after this game we didn't get a mainline current-gen Mega Man game until Mega Man 11, over 20 years later. Thankfully though, it seems like in recent years the tone has shifted at least a bit. I've seen more posts saying, "Hey, this game is pretty good actually," with the comments being more split than largely negative, and this makes me very happy. But today, let's go a bit further. My goal is to explain to you why I love Mega Man 8, and consider it one of the most fun games in the series. While I know I'm not going to change your minds necessarily, I at least hope I can inject a bit more positivity into the discussion. So without any further delay, let's get started. For our first order of business, the cutscenes. Yep, we're going there right away. If I have to choose one criticism of Mega Man 8 that I understand the least, it's this one. Yes, they are terrible. Some of the worst I've ever seen, in fact. Truly irredeemable garbage. And yes, that is a very, very good thing. I'm sorry, but how in the world can you watch these awful cutscenes and not have a smile on your face the whole time? They're seriously just comedy gold. I used some of these clips in my Mega Man 7 video to, dare I say, great results. They've been jokes that every Mega Man fan will immediately recognize and laugh at for good reason. And you want to tell me that this is a problem with the game? No, absolutely not. Basically, all of the issues here boil down to the voice acting. I'm obviously playing the English version, so I don't know what it's like in other languages, but it is so hilariously terrible. And it's like tastefully garbage, you know what I mean? No skilled voice actor could intentionally craft a performance this bad if they tried. Just listen to Dr. Light stumble over literally every single word he tries to speak in this legendary cutscene.
We must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
But where is Dr. Wily?
That's a good question. We may be able to locate another energy emission from the radar room. When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wily.
Yes, you've seen it a million times, and so have I, but this seriously never gets old for me, no matter how many times I see it. It's actually just perfect, and I love it. How about the first cutscene where Mega Man fights Bass? Wait, I'm sorry, I mean Bass, like the fish.
Hey, Bass! Why must I fight you? We are not enemies!
Shut up! Don't run away, coward. You'll pay for this insult. I'll be back.
Or the other classic moment when Mega Man gets caught by this giant robot and lets out the longest scream you've ever heard in your entire life. Oh yeah, and then there's Duo. He's the game's big new character, this robot from outer space whose goal is to destroy evil energy. By the way, evil energy? Seriously? Maybe the least creative name for anything I've ever seen. But yeah, here he is.
This is what you people call evil energy. Based on my studies
Duo?
so far,
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
I sense the original energy exists in
One
that
more
tower.
time? Okay, I heard you. Oh my god. Yeah, no idea what happened there. The only character who sounds like what I imagined is Dr. Wily, who actually does give a pretty fun performance.
However, I don't have time to deal with you!
It's overdone for sure, but I think that's how he should be anyway. Although, what the heck is up with his catchphrase in this game?
Now the world is mine! Gotcha! Gotcha!
Gotcha? Really? Okay. Oh, but that's not all. The high-quality voice acting makes its way to the game's bosses as well. Honestly, these are sometimes even better than the cutscenes. Let's hear a compilation of my favorite lines.
Watch it! What are you doing? See you in my dreams.
I'll crush you! I'll make a popsicle of you!
Nice shot.
Yeah, I just love everything about this. The voice acting and cutscenes are terrible and therefore funny and therefore amazing. I truly believe the world would be worse off if not for these existing. And if you disagree, obviously that's okay, but I'll never understand. Alright, with that hilarity out of the way, let's get to the game itself. Mega Man 8 is my choice for the most unique game in the classic series, maybe outside of 11. I mean, when 8 out of your 12 games are on the NES or are NES throwbacks, that's not very hard, but that doesn't diminish the cool things 8 tries to do. The most obvious thing to point out is the graphics, because man is this a good looking game. Easily the best looking in the classic series, and I'd argue the only Mega Man platformers that can compete are the ZX games and the PS1 X games. I mean, just look at it. The animations are all smooth as butter, with so much movement going on at all times. The sprites are just some of the best you can find anywhere. There are lots of neat particle effects, and great backgrounds with insane amounts of detail. Even with all this though, they never sacrifice visual clarity, as I never had an issue deciphering what was happening. And of course the stages have the most variety so far. It might be one of my favorite looking games ever, honestly. In general, I think Capcom was just the king of sprite-based games in this era. Whenever I see footage of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or one of their other fighting games, the art style alone almost makes me want to play them. I mean, I would if I wasn't so bad at traditional fighters, but Mega Man 8's graphics work the same magic. And what about the music? This soundtrack has a really distinct chill style to it that I'm a huge fan of. I will say that many of the songs kind of blend together, but that's fine because the overall vibe is great and distinct from every other game. I don't really know how to explain it, just take a listen to some of these and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, I just think this music has a really cool and memorable sound to it. It fits the updated art style perfectly, and even if this isn't the most Mega Man sounding thing of all time, hey, sometimes it's nice to have something different. Change is something the series could use a bit more of if you ask me. Oh yeah, and I also really like the new sound design, including Mega Man's voice lines during gameplay. I actually think they add a good amount to the game feel and work much better than they do in the cutscenes. I can imagine some people would find these annoying, but I'm a Xenoblade fan. The more random voice lines, the better. I'm just totally on board with every single aspect of Mega Man 8's aesthetic, and I'd easily call it one of the best in the series. Okay, but now we get to the gameplay, and this is where things start to get really interesting. There are seriously a lot of changes, many more than I think most people give it credit for. So let's just get started with the controls. These are pretty great, and that's mostly thanks to the fluid animations. I'd at least say they're comparable to the NES games, if not better. Mega Man does move a bit slower for sure, but it works for this game if you ask me, and it doesn't feel too slow at least. Of particular note is the fact that you can have both the special weapon and the buster active at the same time, which is just awesome. It makes me want to use the weapons a lot more than I did before. Cycling through them is also easier because you have an icon that shows what weapon has been selected rather than just Mega Man's suit color. The slide is smooth, the jump feels good, and yeah, everything here is great. Oh yeah, and underwater sections have been updated to have Mega Man actually swim rather than just fall more slowly, and I think this is a fun shakeup for one game. You can initiate a swim by jumping in midair, which makes you move forward quickly and paddle upwards when you jump again. It controls surprisingly well, and I actually like this addition quite a bit. Next, the new shop system. Mega Man 7 introduced the shop from the Game Boy games to the main series, and 8 carries on that trend, but does a lot to switch things up. Now, rather than bolts being a currency that you can get from enemy drops or just scattered around in the levels, they're a finite collectible. There are 40 spread across the 8 main stages and the intro and middle stages as well. Because of the far lower count, now they treat them as higher impact collectibles, giving you more in-depth challenges to actually grab them. For instance, as soon as the intro stage, you can see this little head thing pop up from the ground and release an enemy after you pass it. If you decide to go back and enter, it actually acts as an elevator and lowers you to a side area, and you can grab 2 bolts if you explore the whole thing. Now taking these bolts to the shop, you can get some very useful upgrades. These include not getting pushed back when you take damage, shortening the time to charge your charge shot, hyperspeed dashes, and the classic energy balancer. And those are just the ones I was able to get during this playthrough. There are a ton more to buy, 17 in total. And the interesting thing is that there aren't enough bolts to actually get every upgrade in the shop. Okay, now hold on for 1 second, because maybe I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself from my Donkey Kong Country review if you saw that. But in Mega Man 8, I actually don't feel the need to get 100% of the bolts. Part of that is, well, I don't really like backtracking to stages I've already completed in Mega Man games more than once or twice at most. I don't know, it's nice for them to at least give you more things to do in stages you've already played, but I just find it a bit annoying to come across something you can't do yet, then you have to complete the stage, go get the right upgrade, then come back and play through most of the stage again. So anytime a Mega Man game goes all in on long-form side quests, it's not really what I'm looking for. That being said, I appreciate that you can engage with the bolt system as much or as little as you want. The upgrades are fun to play with, yes, but not required to beat the game or anything like that. And the fact that you can't buy all the upgrades anyway means that I don't feel like I have to 100% it. Maybe that's a weird mentality, but it's what I'm working with. And maybe this is talking about the level design a bit too early, but I really like a lot of the challenges you have to play to grab them. Mega Man 8 adds some more puzzle elements into its platforming, which I'm always a fan of. For instance, in Frostman's stage, you can grab a bolt by pressing the switch here, which launches an ice cube towards another one a few paces back, breaking both and opening up the path to the bolt. In Clown Man, you have to navigate these interesting rising and falling platforms to get to a bolt up high, and there are just a lot of moments like these all over the place. Another way you commonly get bolts is by using the game's weapons, which, man, I love them so much. First of all, we have the Flame Sword, which, it's a flame sword, so therefore it's awesome. It's able to hit enemies that are low to the ground pretty well, and I just love using it. It also lets you burn up certain flammable obstacles. Flash Bomb is just a ridiculously powerful multi-hit explosion that stays in place for a while, dealing continuous damage. And the Ice Wave is great at dealing with long lines of grounded enemies, which do show up a lot in this game. But I especially love the ones with actual platforming utility. Thunderclaw lets you grab onto these grapple points and swing on them, which is a little finicky but is really fun to get right. And then the Tornado Hold pushes you upwards, letting you reach higher platforms, or occasionally push obstacles out of the way. It's just a great set of weapons with fun interactions. I like how instead of the weapons being used primarily for single level secrets, they have a few applications that are used consistently. Most of the later 4 stages let you use at least 1 or 2 of these weapons like this, which is a great way to take the exploration focus from 7 and expand it into something that feels a bit more fleshed out to me. Sure, I do feel like 7 had more interesting secrets, but here there are more smaller things to do, and the level design is packed with little areas to find, which is a style of level design I'm personally a big fan of. So, how about those levels? Well, this is the argument against Mega Man 8 that I can at least understand, maybe. People don't like the levels in this game, calling them gimmicky and not very fun to play. And yeah, fair enough, gimmicky is a very good way to describe them. Sure, maybe you weren't hoping for a shoot-'em-up section in your Mega Man game, but I personally don't mind when games throw in a bunch of various genres for variety. Many different games have mini-games you get to play from time to time that don't align with the core gameplay. See, I grew up playing games such as Mario & Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, Super Paper Mario, and a bunch of other DS and Wii games. These are often notorious for including a bunch of ridiculous minigames that have nothing to do with anything else. Like, for example, these giant Bowser battles where you have to blow into the microphone to breathe fire. So maybe I just have a higher tolerance for unexpected mechanics. But here's what I think. If I wanted to play just any other Mega Man game, I'd just go play any other Mega Man game. You have 11 others, or 16 if you count the ones on the Game Boy, that don't do this. But even then, Mega Man 5 had this section in Wave Man stage where you're on a boat which controls differently from anything else. 5 on the Game Boy had its own Space Shooters segment. This isn't necessarily new for Mega Man, it's just used a lot more here than usual. I don't see anything wrong with changing it up from time to time. And more than that, I personally like every single one of these gimmicks. Yes, all of them. Even that one that you're probably thinking about. So why don't we just go through the list? First, and easily the most contentious, is these snowboarding segments, or as you probably know them, I just don't get it, I guess? What's the big deal with these? I think they're really fun. Basically, you're on a fast-moving snowboard and can jump, shoot, slide, and move left and right a bit. These warnings show up on the screen telling you to either jump or slide. all the while you're dodging enemies and trying not to fall into pits or hit a wall. You know what this is, right? Yeah, it's Geometry Dash before that was a thing. And hey, Geometry Dash is the easiest game ever, right? Let's just move that out of the way, and yeah. You do this 3 times, twice in Frostman's stage, and the one people usually complain more about, in Wily Stage 1. That last one I did first try without taking any damage, and I've only played this game twice before multiple years ago. Sure, that alone doesn't mean it's not bad, and I'd understand if you're not a fan of a section like this. But I mean, is it really that hard to just stay at the back of the screen and jump forward when the game tells you to jump? Is this seriously enough of an issue to ruin the entire game? For many people, apparently so. Look, I'm not going to say you're wrong for thinking that, but like the other things I mentioned, I just personally don't get it at all. Next on the list is these shoot 'em up sections. Sure, these definitely do stray away from the usual Mega Man gameplay, but with one exception, I think they're a pretty fun time. You get to dodge a bunch of attacks while moving anywhere on the screen, grabbing power-ups to increase your spread of weapons, and in fact you actually get to use your special weapons in these sections if you want. The first one of these in Tengu Man is pretty easy, and I just like the feeling of shooting a bunch of stuff and seeing it explode. A bit of junk food gameplay to take a break with, basically. The only issue here is the second one in Wily Stage 2. There's one section here where you have to weave very quickly around this tight corridor, and an enemy spawns directly in your path, locking you in place and leading to certain death. And then you have to fight a boss, which is actually incredibly tough to fight until you realize the Astro Crush makes quick and easy work of it. This is honestly my least favorite part of the game, but again, it's really not that bad, just one cheap death and one annoying boss. It's not like other Mega Man games aren't full of those. Looking at you, Boo Beam Trap, that is 100 times worse than anything in Mega Man 8. And actually, those are the only gimmicks you'll find multiple times in the game. The rest are all level specific, so let's just go through each of the stages and take a look. First we have the intro stage, which is honestly amazing. I already mentioned the cool secret area with a few bolts, but then there's also these shellfish enemies, and if you shoot them a few times you can push them out of your way and have them roll over some other enemies or hit a switch. And then there's a fun and easy mini boss at the end. Plus, man is it a beautiful looking stage with this flock of birds flying through the air right after you start being a highlight. Here you also get the Mega Ball, which is the last weapon I wanted to talk about. This one is a two-parter. First you drop a ball, then you kick it. It's a pretty ineffective attack, honestly, but jumping on the ball makes you bounce upwards. Drop a ball at the apex of your jump, and congratulations, you now have a double jump. This right here is an incredibly fun piece of tech that's easy to pull off, but requires a bit of effort to master. I love using this to get extra height more quickly than I can by any other method, and it just feels good on the thumbs to do advanced maneuvers like this, you know? I used it any chance I could get. From there, my first choice was Grenade Man.
Let's do it!
I'm Grenade Man!
Now this is a really fun stage. I like the breakable platforms you can shoot, which are used in many different ways. This trash eyeball mini-boss is also pretty fun, if maybe a bit simple. This is also where we're introduced to another of Mega Man 8's biggest changes, doubling the length of its levels. Now every one of them is broken into 2 halves, separated by a continue point you'll go back to even if you get a game over. Normally I like my Mega Man stages short, but in a game with just one castle I don't mind this at all. And they also take the opportunity to make both halves of the level considerably different in most of these stages. Here in Grenade Man, the second half focuses more on these timed exploding platforms and these fire enemies that light fuses, which then cause a chain reaction of platforms blowing up behind you that you have to escape. Then Grenade Man is an awesome boss with a lot of different quick attacks that still aren't too hard to dodge if you're paying attention. He even does the Sunstar thing and breaks down the floor to fall to a different arena halfway through the fight. Just an awesome stage that's fun the whole way through, with a fun boss at the end. In Frostman, most of what you're going to be doing is the snowboarding. Other than that though, there's a fun little puzzly section where these whale ships drop penguin icicles, which are then pushed by these ice pusher machines. Now that is creative. Like I said though, I find the snowboarding pretty fun, so I like the stage as it is. Frostman is a fun idea for a boss, but he just gets destroyed way too easily by the flash bomb. Tengu Man is a fun stage focusing on 2 things, the shoot 'em up sections and windy platforming. The windy parts are fun, with this one well-placed bolt making you jump on these small platforms and have the wind extend your jump. Oh, and there's also this weird bubble thing that floats upwards slowly as you dodge spikes. Not sure what that's about. Now Tengu Man, he is an awesome boss. He floats around throwing out various wind-based attacks, including this one where he dives straight at you then tries to land on you. This gives you a quick second where you can hit him with the ice wave, locking him in place and letting you get a second hit. Now, I just want to take a second to talk about this because what a great idea. I'm gonna say it now, Mega Man 8 actually has my favorite bosses so far, and honestly, it isn't even close. Sure, some of them are like Frostman and get demolished by their weakness with little effort, but around half of them have a special secret mechanic that lets you deal extra damage to them with their weakness, but only when they do a specific attack or in a specific state. This is an extremely welcome addition, because Mega Man 7's idea of making the weapons more powerful is just to have them delete the boss with no skill or brain power required, while taking as long as possible to do so. Here they take this idea and polish it up significantly, and even the bosses that don't have a specific use case for the weakness have a good variety of attacks, or in the worst case are at least really quick to beat so they aren't annoying. Honestly, this is the first time ever I can actually say I really like the majority of bosses in a Mega Man game. All of them are fun to fight without their weaknesses, except one, and the majority are either fun or inoffensive at worst. What a relief, honestly. Oh, and again, the terrible voice lines are hilarious, which makes the bosses even better. Yes, once again, I do see that as a positive. And speaking of good bosses, it's time for Clown Man. This is kind of a weird stage, but I don't know, I still like it just fine. There are a lot of different elements here with these trains that act as both platforms and obstacles while running through the enemies, these boxes with a bunch of markings on them that have various effects, including teleporting you to random locations. Those are a bit annoying, but they are pretty funny, which is appropriate. Then there are these platforms with buttons that move around and drop you off if you don't time your jump well. And then, like I said, Clown Man is great. When he swings around, you have a chance to use the tornado hold and knock him off, leaving him vulnerable for a short time. Yet another cool specific mechanic that makes the boss really memorable. From there, you go to a short middle stage where you fight Duo and have the chance to pick up a few bolts if you search around, which is a cool addition. To start off the second half though, we have Sword Man. Rather than using a specific gimmick, this one has you enter a temple and go into 4 different mini-levels, pressing a switch at the end of each one which opens one of 4 doors in a row. Each of these is based around a different mechanic. Spikes rising from the floor and ceiling, dark rooms, pushing these magnetic devices into position, or dodging instant kill firebars which you can freeze with the ice wave, which you are guaranteed to have by now. After each of these, you fight an interesting mini-boss where this hammer robot smacks the platforms you're on, temporarily disabling them while you try to destroy a crystal inside this other machine. Then lastly, you have a lava section where the hammer robot comes back and chases you, and you also have to jump on the left or right of these platforms to push them in either direction. There's really a lot to do here, and I love it. Then Swordman is yet another fun boss, who is a bit easy with his weakness, but he looks really cool and every attack is very fun to dodge. Searchman is definitely the least remarkable stage in the game, but it's also not bad. The level design is pretty chaotic, with many paths to take and a ton of different ways you can use the Thunderclaw and Flame Sword. Then the boss is really fun yet again, with the main mechanic being using the Flame Sword to burn down 3 bushes and uncover the boss before he launches homing missiles at you. Then we have Astro Man, which I think isn't handled the best. I like each part of the stage individually, but the normal platforming gameplay is a bit too much of a straight line with enemies on it. Although I do like the addition of these disappearing platforms. I really do like this section where you have to walk around a maze, pushing switches to open doors and figuring out the way to get to the end. And then you can use the tornado hold a lot to make navigation easier. Just a great addition of some nice puzzle elements. Lastly, there's a climb up a vertical shaft that's sinking into the ground. I do like every one of these sections, but the issue is that the first 2 are just used again in the second half. I mean, they do give you different level design, but I guess I'd appreciate something a bit more creative. Then Astroman is definitely the worst boss in the game, as he's the only one that's not consistently beatable without his weakness. And with it... yikes. Mega Man 7, is that you? And finally, Aquaman. I mentioned how I really like the water sections in this game, and that holds true here. There's a really chaotic mini-boss while you're falling down a waterfall, which is a cool spectacle, but yeah, it's maybe a bit annoying to play. I'm not the biggest fan of this falling section at the end where you can't really react well to the enemies, so this ends up being one of the stages I like less, but it's still fine overall. And Aquaman is a cool boss, especially without the weakness. If you do have it though, I at least appreciate how you can't kill him with only the Astro Crush because there's not enough ammo. It's still really easy, but at least you have to get a tiny bit more creative that way. Okay, and then for the Wily stages. Wily 1 is literally just the snowboarding, then a short Thunderclaw section, then this weird boss where you have to kick the Mega Ball into one of 4 columns, which is actually really hard to do. Wily 2 is also basically just the shoot 'em up section, not much else to say there. Wily 3. It's a stage. It's mostly vertical until you get to these walking, exploding platforms. Those are pretty funny and I like them. Then you get to a fight with Base, which is actually really fun in stark contrast to his previous ones. Some attacks are really hard to dodge, but I found here you can use the Astro Crush to give yourself brief invincibility through them while doing a bit of damage at the same time. Oh, and the remix of his theme from the previous game is awesome. Sadly, I can't say the same for this Jelly Devil fight, which is just so boring. Everything takes way too long, and I don't like this fight at all. I guess at least it's not frustrating, though. Oh boy, but then we have Wily 4. Once again, we have the final boss in the same stage as the boss rush with no checkpoint. I still don't like that, but here it's nowhere near as big of a deal as it was in 7. Why? Well, for one, the boss rush is over so much more quickly because of the significantly better bosses. And they're also just more engaging since you're playing Mega Man instead of the easiest rhythm game ever invented. Well. Oh, and also the final boss is actually pretty fun this time around. For the machine, you can use the Astro Crush to dodge this giant laser once again, or you can probably switch to the Mega Ball and jump over it, which I didn't think to try. It's a pretty decent fight, and the capsule is basically just a significantly less difficult version of the one from the previous game. It's not super easy, thankfully, but definitely tough to do without healing. Wait, I forgot. This game has no E-tanks. Yeah, somehow I didn't realize until the very end. Honestly, I don't think this game really needs them anyway, since it's one of the easier ones in my experience. So I actually kinda like this. Instead though, they've added Rush healing, where Rush just flies around dropping a bunch of healing items. By the way, I think this game just fails to mention you even have Rush items in the first place unless you happen to look at the second page of the menu. So that's kinda weird, and I literally never used them until the final boss when I finally remembered they existed. But I still think the final boss is a pretty decent way to end what I consider to be a very fun game. So yeah, there it is. I love Mega Man 8 and I hope that was on full display. Sure, it's definitely not perfect. I like the gimmick levels, but gimmicks are just bound to be contentious even if I tend to like them in most games. The general level design isn't necessarily the best Mega Man has to offer, mostly because it has less usual Mega Man gameplay per minute than usual. That's especially on display in the Wily stages, where there's only one level that really feels like traditional Mega Man, and even that one isn't anything special. And yeah, that is enough to bring this out of my absolute top tier of Mega Man games. But literally every other thing here I like. The graphics, some of my favorite I've ever seen, and a ridiculous improvement from before. The cutscenes, hot garbage, and I love them just the way they are. The variety is very high, and yes, I do consider that to be a good thing. The controls are great. The bosses are the best in the series up until now, and in my opinion have no real competition for that title whatsoever. The bolt system makes exploring stages more fun without forcing you to engage with absolutely every part of it, or at least I didn't feel the need to. The weapons are some of my favorites with more utility than usual. And sure, these may not be the best levels in Mega Man history, but I still like most of them. I don't know, I can see some critiques to be given for Mega Man 8 of course, but I have never once wavered on my love for this game. It's just really fun, pure and simple. And sometimes that's all a game needs to be. Sure, I'm not saying you need to consider this a top tier Mega Man, but I never would have thought a game like this could garner so much hatred from so many people. But who knows, maybe those people could never understand how someone like me could enjoy it so much. And I am the guy who considers Mega Man 4 a very weak entry in the series. Whatever the case, I'm happy to call 8 a top 3 Mega Man game I've reviewed so far, only below 6 and Game Boy 5, and a bit above NES 5. We'll see if it keeps that top 3 title through to the end. But oh man am I excited, because that means next up is Mega Man and Bass, the only classic series game I've never played, and one of the most contentious Mega Man games to ever exist, even more so than 8. I've heard people call it bottom of the barrel irredeemable garbage, one of their favorite games of all time, just all over the spectrum of opinions. So for my next video, we're going extremely in depth. I'll be doing 4 entire playthroughs of the game, one for Mega Man and one for Bass, on both the Super Nintendo and GBA. Is it a good idea to do that to myself? Probably not, but it's happening regardless. We'll see which side of the discussion I end up on after that. And you know what that means, if you want to make sure you don't miss that, the best way is to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you had a good time, all that stuff. See you then, and thanks for watching.